One morning, a man discovered a strange, walled rabbit near his home. Feeling a surge of compassion for the odd little creature, he took it in and gave it shelter. But when he brought the rabbit to the vet for a checkup, the vet stared in shock, mouth agape, unable to believe what he was seeing. The man was Jack Foster, a 35-year-old programmer living in a quiet suburb of Seattle. He worked for a small tech company, living a routine life, until the day the unusual rabbit appeared and turned everything upside down. Jack loved his cozy house with a small garden where he lived with his faithful dog named Buddy. One evening while Jack was cooking dinner, he heard Buddy barking loudly in the yard. This was unusual since the dog was always calm. Jack wiped his hands and went to the porch to see what was happening. He saw Buddy standing near a lilac bush, barking fiercely at something. Jack came closer and noticed a strange creature huddled under the bush. It was the size of a large rat, but completely bald and pink. Jack carefully pushed the branches aside and took a closer look. He realized it was a baby animal, possibly an unknown type of rabbit or some rare rodent. The creature was trembling and making soft, pitiful squeaks. Jack felt sorry for the little thing and decided to take it home. He gently picked up the trembling creature and brought it inside. Jack made a temporary nest in a cardboard box, lining it with a soft towel. He didn't know what to feed the strange find, so he placed 2 saucers nearby, one with water and the other with warm milk all night. Jack couldn't sleep. Thinking about the unusual animal in the morning, he called his friend, veterinarian Sam Baker. Sam agreed to examine the strange find and asked Jack to bring the animal to the clinic. Jack carefully placed the cub in a large bag and went to the vet at the clinic. Dr. Baker was very surprised to see the unusual bald patient, but he agreed to examine it. He measured weight and listened to the animal's heartbeat. After the examination, Sam shook his head ply. He admitted that he had never seen anything like it before. In his opinion, it could be the baby of some exotic rodent, but he couldn't determine the exact species yet. The veterinarian conducted tests and did an X-ray to make sure the animal was okay. He told Jack that the cub was healthy but needed special care and feeding. Sam gave Jack a special milk formula for feeding and showed him how to feed the cub with a pipette. Jack decided to temporarily keep the find at his home until its origin could be determined. He bought a small cage and equipped it with everything necessary for the little cub. Jack named his ward Pinky because of its pink skin. The first few days were the hardest. Jack had to feed Pinky every 2 hours, even at night. He was very worried about the cub and tried to create the most comfortable conditions for it. But he also showed a lot of interest in the new housemate and often sat by the cage watching Pinky. Gradually, Pinky grew stronger and became more active. It eagerly drank milk from the pipette and began exploring its cage. Jack noticed that the cub was growing its first sparse hairs on its skin. He regularly sent photos and videos to Dr. Baker, consulting with him about caring for the unusual pet. After a week, Jack decided that Pinky was strong enough to be let out of the cage for a while. He fenced off part of the living room, creating a safe area for the animal to roam. Pinky turned out to be very curious and active. It happily explored the new space, moving its paws amusingly. One day, Jack was surprised to find that Pinky had climbed onto Buddy's back and was comfortably settled in its thick fur. The dog lay patiently, allowing the cub to ride on it. The sight was so touching that Jack couldn't resist and took some photos. Days passed, and Pinky grew and developed. Its body was covered with sparse, soft fur, and its eyes were fully opened. Jack noticed that the animal had quite large front paws with sharp claws. He began to wonder what kind of animal it really was. Dr. Baker was also puzzled. He consulted with colleagues and studied special literature, trying to determine the animal species, but all his attempts were unsuccessful. It seemed that Pinky did not fit any known description. Meanwhile, Pinky became more active at night. Jack often woke up to noises in the living room and found that the unusual pet had escaped from the cage and made a bit of a mess. Pinky was very skilled at climbing furniture and even learned to open some drawers. Jack decided to strengthen the cage and started locking it at night, but Pinky turned out to be a little Houdini. Somehow, it managed to escape even from the most secure locks. Jack had to come to terms with the nocturnal adventures of his unusual pet. About 2 weeks have passed since Jack found Pinky. One night, he was awakened by an incredibly loud noise coming from the first floor. It sounded like a whole gang of robbers was in the house. Jack jumped out of bed, grabbed a baseball bat, and cautiously went downstairs. What he saw in the living room shocked him. The room looked like a small hurricane had swept through it. The furniture was overturned, books were scattered on the floor, and the curtains were half torn down. But the most amazing thing was not that. Amidst all this chaos, Jack saw something incredible. Next to Pinky were 2 more bald cubs, and a large, furry animal resembling a giant guinea pig towered over them. Jack couldn't believe his eyes. He stood frozen, not knowing what to do. The large animal noticed him and made a low growling sound. Jack slowly backed away, afraid to provoke the animal's aggression. He quietly exited the room, closing the door behind him with trembling hands. Jack dialed Dr. Baker's number despite the late hour, and the veterinarian answered. Almost immediately, Jack explained the situation in a hurried voice and asked him to come urgently. Sam, hearing about the unusual guests, agreed to come to Jack's house right away. While Jack waited for the veterinarian's arrival, he cautiously watched the animals through a crack in the door. The large animal. Apparently, a female was tenderly licking the cubs. Pinky seemed completely at ease in the company of its kin. After 20 minutes, which seemed like an eternity to Jack, Dr. Baker arrived. He brought a tranquilizer and a sturdy net in case the animals were aggressive. Jack briefly described the situation, and together they cautiously entered the living room, seeing the unusual family of animals. Dr. Baker froze in surprise for a moment. Then, to Jack's amazement, he burst out laughing. Sam slapped his forehead and exclaimed, "I can't believe I didn't guess earlier. These are wombats." Jack looked at his friend in confusion, not understanding what he was talking about. Sam explained that they were looking at an Australian wombat female with 3 cubs. These animals somehow found themselves in Seattle, thousands of miles from their natural habitat. The veterinarian cautiously approached the animals, speaking to them in a soothing tone. To Jack's surprise, the female wombat did not show aggression. She watched the humans wear, but did not try to attack or run away. Sam examined the animals and confirmed that they were healthy, though a bit thin. He assumed that the female wombat had escaped from illegal animal traffickers and had taken refuge in Jack's basement, where she had given birth. Jack remembered the strange sounds from the basement that he had been ignoring all this time when one of the cubs made its way outside. But he noticed it, and Jack picked it up, not knowing that the others were hiding in his basement. Sam contacted the Wildlife Protection Center for help with the wombats. While waiting for the staff to arrive, Jack and Sam discussed how the animals ended up there. The veterinarian explained that wombats are protected in Australia, and their export is restricted. Most likely, the family fell victim to smugglers. A team from the center arrived with special cages and carefully transferred the wombats. Jack watched. Sadly, his Pinky and his family were taken away worrying about their fate. The staff assured him that the animals would receive good care and soon return to their natural habitat. A police investigation began. Detectives interviewed Jack and his neighbors and checked surveillance camera records. A few weeks later, the police tracked down a criminal group involved in the smuggling of rare animals from Australia and Africa. Jack was shocked by the scale of the illegal activity. It made him look at the problem of wildlife protection in a new way. He even became a volunteer at the center, helping to care for wombats and other animals. Pinky, along with its brother and sister, grew quickly. Jack learned a lot of interesting things about wombats, their ability to dig burrows, their nocturnal lifestyle, and even their unique cube-shaped droppings. After 3 months, the wombats had fully recovered, and it was decided to return them to their natural habitat. Jack was filled with mixed emotions. The preparations for the wombats' transport had taken weeks, and now, on the day of their departure, he found himself saying goodbye with a heavy heart. Parting with them wasn't easy. These curious creatures had become more than just an odd chapter in his life. They had changed him. A month later, Jack received a package of photos from the Australian Reserve. There they were, his unusual companions, safe, free, and thriving in their natural habitat. He chuckled as he spotted the smallest one, the mischievous little Pinky who had caused so much chaos. That same chaos had, against all odds, helped unravel a serious international crime. Jack smiled, the warmth of memory settling over him. Pinky and the others would forever hold a place in his heart.